If you have a Hyundai or a Kia with GDI engines, on top of the engine, underneath the big cover, you just remove the plastic cover. Underneath, you have the high fuel pressure pump. It's the GDI system, and on top of this pump, you have this foam. I suggest you replace it if you are missing it, but the dealership will never find out what's the number for this part because actually it doesn't even show up in their diagrams. So they will see the diagram of the engine, they see the pump, but that foam doesn't appear in the diagram, it's just hidden. This is the part for Hyundai, and my guess this is for 2015, 2020. Hyundai is several of them, Sonata, Tux and stuff. This is the part for Hyundai. My guess is the same for Kia, so you may buy it from Kia as well, and should be fitting all GDI Hyundai Kia engines, at least from that time, 2015, 2020. So just be aware of this. I do suggest you replace it. Don't leave the pump alone. There is a reason, and the reason is not, as the forums say, to cut on the noisy pump. Actually, the pump is not noisy. If you take a car in good condition, this fuel pressure pump has also have kind of a roller under it. In good condition, it does not make noise. My suggestion is this is to kind of insulate it from the rest of the heating from the engine exhaust. Surely the pump does get warm or hot, but not as hot as the exhaust area. So this is just going to protect the pump from overheating from the extra hot exhaust gases, just temperature basically. So it's going perhaps to protect your pump last longer. So don't throw that foam away. Mine got eaten by a squirrel. I found another guy who squirrel ate it again as well on his own car. So maybe spread this foam with some maybe pepper, powder pepper. Just remove the foam, spread it inside out, and just cover it with a layer of pepper, whatever pepper you find, because it feels like squirrels just like to chew this thing. For some reason, it's just fancy, I guess. All right, and such.